In this episode of Kids Podcast, I am honored to share wisdom with you about leading kids in your church and in your home. Dealing with kids is hard work, and I'm praying that we add some tools to your tool belt today. So let's dive into today's topic. 3 books that I recommend for all leaders. That's right, in this episode of Kids Podcast, I give you my top 3 books that I recommend if you are a leader, especially in kids ministry, youth ministry, and as a parent. Let's dig in real fast. This won't be very long. I have 3 books that I recommend. The first book is Your First 2 Years of Youth Ministry by Fields. This is a practical book for someone who's an office pastor, especially if you're a youth pastor. But it can also be helpful if you are a kids pastor or an associate pastor. Lots of practical elements of starting, especially from the perspective of human resourcing. The human resourcing or the HR department often has a 90-day evaluation. This comes from that perspective, from my opinion, is that it helps you think through your first 2 years of practically doing a job as a youth pastor. So that's number 1. Number 2 is Communicating for a Change by Andy Stanley. This is a great book. This is all about how to be a communicator, especially from a stage, talking to kids, talking to youth, talking to adults, communicating for a change. He uses the idea of going on a traveling journey, and through that journey, you have an experience that leads you to the end game. And he uses the same concept as a speaker, that you take the listeners through a journey that leads them to the end game. And so I highly recommend it. If you're speaking to people from a stage, this book needs to be on the top of your list. And the book number 3, I absolutely love this book. I picked it up maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember. It's called Extreme Ownership. Extreme Ownership. I can't pronounce all the names. There's like 2, 3, 4 co-authors. The main guy is Jocko. It's a Navy SEAL book. And quite literally, some Navy SEAL individuals wrote a leadership book for leaders. And this book is mind-blowing, y'all. Mind-blowing. If you want to go a step further, get the audio book. It's leadership principles and ideas that help you think through how to make decisions as a leader. And it comes from the perspective of a Navy SEAL, where their decisions are life and death, not bonuses and I might do a good job, might do a bad job. This is, if you fail, people die. So their leadership principles have been contextualized into the real world so that you take your decisions more seriously. And to go a step further, get the audiobook. The audiobook is so good. And what happens is you get these audiobooks, and there's a guy in there, and he's talking a lot like me, like I'm talking right now. And I kind of get bored after a while. And every now and then you get a good book, and the guy's got a little bit more energy, and he's talking like this, and you're like, I'm engaged in this book. But in their book, they're Navy SEALs. They're all like, we were down in the mud, and we could hear the bullets whizzing over our heads. We had to take cover. But we remembered our training, and we returned fire. And that's how we won. And all of a sudden, I'm listening to this, and I'm like, I'm a kids pastor, and I wish I was a Navy SEAL kids pastor, because those kids were throwing their bullets at me. Nerf bullets, that is. But I remembered my training, and I returned fire for the Lord. It's a good book. I highly recommend it. Extreme Ownership. So those are my 3 books. I highly recommend them if you are into finding a new book. But I want to take you a step further. This is a bonus, a whole bonus. Whether you're looking for a book, a conference, a podcast, whatever, my recommendation is this: do not look for titles and books about stuff that fills your head. You don't want that. You want people to invest in you, specific people. You want to think of it as, I want to change the way I think Let me give you an example. I am a soccer player. I play a lot of soccer. I'm 40 and I still play soccer. I'm a coach. I've coached little kids. I've coached high school athletes. I've coached college athletes. I have coached kids that have gone on to win a WPIAL, that have gone on to D1 colleges. I have coached adults. I have coached privately. I have coached teams. I have played. We have won championships. We have won dual championships. We have won three-peats. We have won a lot. And over the years of playing and coaching, I have learned this. There is a difference between athletes that play soccer, soccer players that play soccer, and champions that win games. Ooh. Hear that loud and clear. There is a difference between athletes that play soccer, soccer players that play soccer, and champions that win games. And the huge difference is that champions think about the game differently. They think about everything differently. A great example is we played in this finals match once. We were defending our three-peat, and this other team was good, real good. On paper, they were faster, better, stronger, you name it. They were on paper better than us. But what they did not have was the seasoning that us older guys had from playing and coaching and doing it year after year together as a team. We thought about the game differently, and that gave us the edge to win our three-peat. Same is true with this knowledge gathering. You can buy 10 books and you're going to learn approximately the same basic truths. Instead, who is that leader you absolutely love listening to? What is that podcast you love listening to? Find that guy. Get as much information from them as possible. Invest in their specific resources. Not so that you have information in your head, but so that your thinking changes or is influenced by their thinking, their way of doing. You're following? Don't fill your brain with information. Fill it with the valued influence of someone else's thinking. Information does you no good if you don't know how to use it. It's knowledge management, the ability to push that information to the right place at the right time, right? Information is okay. Knowing how to use it is what you want. Information is okay. Knowing how to use it is what you want. And so when you start targeting authors, that's how you change the way you think. Let me repeat that. When you start targeting authors, that's how you begin changing the way you think. And that's what you want as a leader. You want a mindset, just like a champion, just like a Navy SEAL. Not just information that's filling your head. That's what I got for you, my top 3 books and a bonus. If you're a mom and dad and you're listening and you need a resource, I highly recommend The Sean Donahue Show. It's a podcast. I love it. I got my 3 books I've given you, a podcast, and a bonus. So yes, sir. Dig in. If you have questions, find me. I'll help you. Until next time, everybody say, bye, Pastor One. Thank you for letting me speak into your life. At the end of the day, our goal is to raise little people to one day become big people. You can learn more and support what we do at rongaleministries.com. Thank you for listening, and smash that like button, turn the bell blue, or whatever it is that the kids are doing these days.